The black swan is a powerful Aboriginal dreaming symbol for overcoming helplessness and reclaiming personal power. Barbara was inspired by her great-grandmother, who survived 2 world wars, the Great Depression, and several pandemics. She finds comfort and perspective, remembering her joy despite hardships. Ellen says if you feel lost or alone and can't get out, sit by the window and be patient. Nature will surely come to you. A bird, bug, or butterfly, a leaf, flower, or tree, the wind moving a spider web, snowflakes, or raindrops. In nature, you are never alone. Joy said she wanted to create a happy bug to spread a bit of viral joyfulness in these strange times. This 2-sided pendant by Loretta depicts 2 aspects of hope and protection, a stylized eagle and an Art Deco-inspired archangel. The eagle protects the space between the earth and heaven. The archangel protects both those on earth and in heaven against the ever-encroaching forces of evil and injustice. The 2 faces on Kathy's piece represent the choices people are having to make during the pandemic. The bright colors of the rainbow represent signs of hope in dark times. The word peace reminds us what we are all praying for worldwide. The title of Fiona's piece is a quote from Nelson Mandela. She hopes that we take the altruism and compassion that has come to the fore in this crisis and move forward towards a kinder, greener, more outward-looking world. Carol's piece is dedicated to the people behind the front lines who do small things that make a big difference to someone else during this trying time. For example, a phone call, grocery shopping for someone who can't, cheering up a person having a bad day. Together, things are easier. This piece by Susan is a nod to the song Over the Rainbow. The song was written in 1939 by 2 Jewish men at a time of rising anti-Semitism. At the time, Jews were being isolated. The song is about hope. The brooches by Patrick explore the concept of hope through factual evidence. They are scientific and nature-based, tangible. We must balance the tangible with the intangible. Without values, science is worthless. Behind the glass is the construction, the truth of the piece. Our values are our truth. Science plus values equals hope. Joan's pendant was inspired by love for her fellow healthcare workers, her love of Louisiana, and belief in God's grace when we pray for a special intention. The crane symbolizes overcoming adversity. Its wings justify the strength that it presents. Sandy's creation is a battered poppy shield. Battered, tattered, torn, and dinged, the beauty endures in the poppy and red garnet. Amy says Pandora's box opened and countless evils fled to plague humankind, but hope remained as an antidote to our present ills. In her interpretation, hope is represented by a fire opal, which in Victorian gem language means adversity cannot crush thee. Julia says after weeks of staying apart to keep each other safe, people are able to meet again in the sunshine under the rainbow, which assures hope for a brighter future. The gold which we all now treasure is caring for each other and our home, planet Earth. Jennifer made this piece to represent the joy of seeing the environment get a little mojo back with people staying home. The air is clearer, less pollution, and maybe a chance for nature's most imperiled animals and species to rebound. One of the most important is the honeybee. Even the prickliest cactus can grow the most beautiful flowers. This pendant, designed by Kim, is part of a whimsical series she created to spread smiles during this difficult time. Working on this has inspired her to make similar pieces to donate to staff at Cape Cod Hospital. The joy, alegria, of this poison ring Tracy designed hides the sinister truth within, keeping the virus locked away in the small chamber. Working on her creation, Karen thought of those helping us. She wanted to represent angel wings in a contemporary design that would evoke a light of hope. Jackie says the earth speaks to her, and Pangea represents that we all started in the same place and have gone our own ways, yet we are all still part of the earth. The beautiful colors of the glass cabochon reminded Anna of coral reefs. The survival and well-being of such natural habitats is indicative of the hope we need to survive this present crisis. Earth is fragile. We need to protect it. Valerie says life feels surreal and turned inside out. Things we always knew were unfair are being exposed and laid bare. She finds hope in each of us thinking about things differently and working to change our society to be more fair, just, and humane. Suzanne created this three-dimensional apartment balcony pendant to reflect the new normal for many of us, finding positive ways of adapting work to staying safe at home, surrounded by some or all of the following: pets, plants, partners, and kids. Each beaded strand was independently woven by Christine, completely separate from the others. The shape is held by a thread so fine it can barely be seen, yet without it, the whole thing would be imbalanced and fall apart. Right now, we can't see it, but hope is there, holding us together, even if we must remain separate. From Christy, Dharma, that which holds together the underlying moral structure of the universe. A wall-hanging prayer flag, the earth and all its inhabitants heal with our hearts. On the one side is the coronavirus wreaking havoc, but breaking through is a flower, the start of renewal. On the other side is life regenerated, thriving as the coronavirus is making us stop, slow down, and giving the world a chance to renew. This is a Lancaster, Pennsylvania valley that is quite beautiful, but was often hazy from pollution. It's best to hug with your heart these days. That's what the news anchor said. This resonated deeply with Brett, as her 2-year-old granddaughter had tried to give her a hug, but her parents held her back for fear of infection, and she cried. Brett said she cried inside as she hugged her really hard with her heart. Brioni was inspired by the recovery of the environment and nature while we've all been polluting less during lockdown. It also reminded her of the simple pleasures in life at the moment, being able to sit in the garden with her family and listen to the birds. Susan says when she thinks of hope, she is looking forward from crisis to new life with help from our natural and social worlds. The pendant's natural elements and swirls of movement are inspired by our angels, family, friends, first responders, who help us navigate and support us through difficult times. Sally designed a COVID cage to surround the globe to represent the pandemic that we're experiencing right now. Vines flowing between the bars show that nature is beating this awful virus. There are flowers and animals on the vines as they are taking over the world. Sarah's turtle reminds us to keep swimming, even when times are a bit rough and treacherous. Turtles have always been a sign of strength to her. Slow and steady wins the race. Anka's dragonflies and water lilies represent how fragile our lives are these days, hoping to start flying again after this moment of temporary rest or unrest, valuing our freedom of recuperating spring through art. Holly's entry was inspired by the composite stone. Its fractured pieces, when joined together, make a thing of beauty. Many of us have been fractured by life's challenges. Holly believes we will overcome and reform into something more beautiful after this health crisis and turbulent political time. Kathy's COVID tear drops to a stone, and just as the stone has many facets, life has as well. She says there are facets of hope, peace, and joy, with many rays of colors at the end of pain and tears. One just has to look and wonder. Elizabeth's seashell pendant brings memories of the ocean, a place where she gravitates to find hope, peace, inspiration, a way to ground herself with the rhythm of the waves, and joy when sea life is spotted. As an NHS midwife, Ray recently delivered a beautiful baby girl born sleeping. Her parents were an inspiration, showing that we truly can overcome anything in life despite tragedy. They are working to rebuild their lives and rise from the ashes like the phoenix. For Chloe, the dragonfly has always symbolized hope and beauty. With this piece, Chloe reminds us that everything passes and we will get there eventually. Charlene intended to make a waterfall, but as the piece evolved, it became more apparent that it needed to bloom. As peaceful as flowing water may be, there is strength found under this majestic canopy. Deeply rooted, she will weather another storm and flourish even stronger. Oh yes, she will. Celine calls her piece Rising Phoenix. She hopes that we will all rise from the ashes of an old world, stronger and willing to build a more balanced society. Marianne says we have a new normal now. We're all slowly figuring out how to navigate our ways through our days. This piece is meant to inspire a bit of hope and a bit of whimsy. Days can be filled with a plethora of emotions, and we're all trying to find our way the best we can. Laura says life is circular, a spiral. What goes around comes around. Our worst challenges, our highest highs. This pandemic has challenged us to our core. The spiral of life reminds us that this too shall pass, which in turn means there is hope in everything. Carol's creation reminds us to focus on the heart. Keep the faith, whatever that is. Love, and remember wisdom to learn and grow. Anne says there's no more powerful symbol of hope than the phoenix rising from the ashes. She represents the hope of rebirth, a new dawn, society rising again and flourishing after this crisis. She's carrying Pandora's jar, in which the only remaining thing is hope. Toby was inspired by a tradeswoman advocating for worksite hygiene who offered the discarded copper industrial sprinkler heads in exchange for jewelry. He saw the coronavirus shape in the sprinkler heads design. These wearable pieces honor all people's hope and all our new normal. Dory says the meaning of this piece was simply to keep oneself occupied with the learning of new things while on an enforced staycation. Hannah's piece was made from brass washers that she saved from her late father's toolbox and from corroded bulb covers she found in a jar. He was a plumber. This piece now contains a little of her dad's ashes, which she keeps close to her heart. Laura says COVID-19 brought her into the darkness of depression, and she was amazed when she finally woke up with the desire to create again. She thought it was lost forever, but it was like the sun. It finally reappeared. She wants to share hope and love with others who may be struggling to get through. Stephanie says the blessing Buddha is a symbol of transformation. His placement into the egg calls to mind life, hope, rejuvenation, and a new beginning. The tears surrounding him are what the universe demands to recognize the pain we are feeling. The angels weep. True hope is never passive, according to Nina. It's always ready for springtime. The heroine of this piece is sitting under a wisteria in a wildflower meadow with the patchwork of green fields to one side. She waits for summer and perhaps the return of her loved one who has promised to be with her in more clement weather. Julie says there is more than light at the end of the tunnel. There's a whole bouquet of flowers to cheer you. This piece by Anne represents hope through the joining of hands in unity, healing of grief, healing hands of healthcare workers, hands joined in faith and the hope it brings for tomorrow. The stone symbolizes both the world and sunrise of tomorrow in a post-COVID world. Geraldine says, within our world chaos entered. We stood united on the circle of life, full of divine guidance and love, safe within our homes. The dove, symbol of strength and hopes, soared high into the sky, shooting the healing arrow, bringing peace and universal love. Troy made this piece as a tribute to his grandmother. She never gave up and always made it through anything while taking care of her family. He wanted it to look old, like a relic that someone found shining silently, filled with wonderful secrets of times past. Colleen reimagines the logo for the helpers at Hope Haven on Ambergris Key, Belize. They inspired her to make this piece. They house children and women in distress and run a food bank. They've been distributing food to more than 2,000 families since the end of March. Paula's birdhouse is a symbol of hope that the day will come soon when we can leave the safety of our little nests, when we can spread our wings and once again be free to fly and soar far and wide wherever our hearts desire, but always knowing that our safe, secure home is right where we left it. Nancy finds healing and inspiration in the sea and the beauty which lies beneath its surface. Teeming with energy, life, and flowing movement, she recreated this menagerie to reflect flowing sea life and the image of hope within. Life is ever constant underwater. Sharon has been a nurse for 20 years in British Columbia and has been working on the front lines with COVID-19 testing. Contact with nature is her stress relief, and since she can't have contact with her beloved animals these days, she finds joy and hope reproducing them. Kathy's piece represents that each of us is in our separate bubbles, the O's, yet connected, the X's, through caring and sharing. All through these last weeks we have had our bad hair days and can still dance and laugh in our circle of friends and family. In quarantine, Anna has been painting lions jumping through a ring of cancer ribbons to represent everyone in the cancer battle together. She decided to also make the lion bracelet in honor of those cancer patients and their nurses who have had to be extra careful and work extra hard during this crazy time. Anastasia says hydrangea are gorgeous in full bloom and when the flowers start to wilt. Some petals in this ring are fresh and others have little imperfections. For her, there's immense enchantment, beauty, and hope in nature's every phase. What is a fading bloom, if not hope for a new spring?